Hey everybody, welcome to Obscurities in Miniatures, and we've got another box of Shadows of Brimstone goodness in plastic waiting for us today. And we've got in front of me the Scafford Highwaymen. So these guys, the Scaffords, are a gang of mutant miscreants terrorizing the old weird west with tentacles in places they probably shouldn't have them. So Shadows of Brimstone is one of the very few games that actually gets to the table every now and then, and more often than not, at the very least, actually gets painted on the regular. So we get 6 of the Highwaymen in here. Looks like we've got 2 basic poses. I could be wrong. Maybe there's more. Looks like maybe 3, actually. Looks like we've got a tentacle sticking to the side. We've got the bag of loot, and we've got the one brandishing the gun, and possibly, I don't know if there's any optional bits. Bases, enemy, sheet, and game cards, which you can kind of see all over the back. Let me get this torn open here. Alright, oh, that's kind of interesting. Haven't seen that in a while. Alright. As they said, we've got our enemy sheet on the regular and brutal side. Rules for regular and tougher versions. We've got the rules here, threat cards, how to put them together, and then a little bit of info, as always, to go with these releases. So this is one of the post Kickstarter releases in plastic. This came out before they started releasing the thermoplastic, Cyocast type stuff. So just be aware of the various types of materials in addition to the resin, but these are plastic. Can use plastic cement with them. And hey, check it out. I was going to point out, you do have options. There's 4 different heads and 2 different arms for this body. So that's kind of nice. Looks like there's only the 2 poses. So at the very least, you know, you can have 3 of each pose, and then you can mix and match with heads and whatever hands you may have handy. Get it? Handy. Cards, we'll save those for the more hardcore board gaming folk. Me, I just want to see what the models are like before I paint them. So we have 3 duplicate sprues. And as you can see, I mean, as I'm really zoomed in here, the fact that we can see a lot of those details, they're not too muddy, that's a good sign. Armor plating on the legs there. I like all the straps and buttons. So the gun is going to basically slot into the chest. And then we have the rest of him over here. Oh, the $sign isn't actually molded onto the bag. That's a shame. I'm going to definitely hold on to those. You never know when you're going to need a tentacle holding a bag of loot. I do like the fact that we have a bit more of a 3D body here. You know, some of the original figures from the Kickstarter, not like later on, but like the Kickstarter itself, were very flat. This is one of the resins. I want to say this is the Marshall? I don't even remember now. This guy has been used as like every job there is. I can't think of what he is. It's not the Orphan, I know that. I think I have some other plastic ones. Oh yeah, here. Here's one of the original other resins. Again, kind of flat. Not a bad model. I mean, he's kind of skinny. But, you know, one of the cool things about these is if you really wanted to give it a bit of pizzazz, you know, and especially a regular head, you don't have to necessarily... Oh, I was going to say, even with the tentacles, it's not like most people's characters stay completely normal and human for the entire duration of the game. It's got a little eye patch there on head D. Like a open void of a face. And then we got the saddle bag, courier bag, I guess is going to get slung over this one. I don't know, I'm going to probably have to give this hand a knife or something on some of these guys. So I'm going to build at least a couple normal ones. Then again, there's only 6 in a box, so I'll at least get them started. We'll grab some other Western models we got handy, and we'll see how everything turns out. So sit tight. Alright, I hate to say it, I only managed to get one of the gang finished. Just one. What's wrong with me? Well, you'll find out very shortly what's wrong with me, because when I started to clip all those pieces off of the figures, I couldn't help myself, and I had to start just throwing gobs of other things on them. I mean, they're mutants, right? So why not go for that mutant look? So the first thing I did was I found, I don't know, I'd gotten glue on this skull from God knows what kit, and it's got like fuzz from the carpet attached to it. But I'm like, why does he have to have an actual face? Let's have a melted skull on there instead, right? So he was still relatively normal. Fair enough. And then I was like, well, oh no, you know what? I guess I built two normal ones. Or as normal as a member of the Scafford gang can get. I mean, this is like the actual stock tentacles. And I was like, I've got other junk laying around, right? So then this happened. I don't know. It looks like an extra gene stealer or tyrannid bit for the arm blade. And I had some extra tentacly bits from some leftover night haunts from Mantic's Night Stalkers. Their Vanguard stuff that I still got piles of that I gotta get through. Yeah, so I thought, hey, why not? Why can't he have a tentacle leg? Well, got peg legs and stuff. And okay, I ended up clipping off. I want to say this is actually. Is it this body? Yeah, it is. Okay. I clipped off the gun that's supposed to go across the belly, and I gave him just a. Well, it looks like a Necromunda hand or something. It needs a little bit of cleaning still. And drilling of the barrel, which I may or may not do. But I had that noticeable gap in the chest area, so I thought, you know what, I hadn't used any of the bags of money yet. Why not give him two? You know, he's got enough tentacles there to hold two. So he's pulling extra duty. And then I don't know what happened to this guy. I don't even know where those limbs came from. I want to say that might be a Wargames Atlantic lizard man claw. The head may have come from a Stargrave mercenary head. I mean, it fits perfect. So if you've got access to some of that fun stuff, I think there's some great mutation bits. And that fancy filigreed steampunk-looking gun is obviously an Admech Skitarii weapon. That was actually, I think, attached to something else, and I did a horrible job kind of trying to cut it off there. We'll clean things up a little bit more, but now at least everybody is quite unique in how they look, which to me is half the fun of a set like this. I did the same thing with my bandits that came with the Frontier Town. I think those guys may not have been as mutated, but I did use a couple of random heads from other sets that I had laying around. So I don't know. I'm pretty happy with them. I mean, you know, for what you get, I think, you know, an enemy encounter for Shadows of Brimstone, if you can get it for a good price, I mean, why not? It does have all the rules you need, obviously, and I think if you get creative with your bits, you can absolutely supplement all kinds of other models. Like I said, those bandits from the Frontier Town would probably work great if you just wanted to throw some of the leftover tentacles and stuff on them. I think that'd be a lot of fun. You can see here, just in terms of size, they fit in pretty nicely with the current existing range of figures. I'm desperately searching and eyeballing what's in front of me. Are you the only Shadows of Brimstone character I have handy? That's weird. Well, I got a vampire at least, but the vampires are kind of big as it is, so that doesn't really help. At this point, I mean, if you're not really familiar with Shadows of Brimstone, I think if you enjoy that Warhammer Quest style randomized dungeon crawl, there is a ton of fun to be had, especially if you expand it with some of the stuff like this. If you're more into the Japanese samurai aesthetic, I mean, there's obviously Forbidden Fortress. We've got the Brimstone Adventures coming someday in the future. When that is, I don't know, but, you know, eventually. So if you enjoy the more Viking-esque or, you know, conquistador style, I mean, that's going to be pretty prevalent in that. So, I mean, Flying Frog has basically got all kinds of bases covered in terms of what you can do with both characters and the game, and I'm just now discovering a couple other random figures laying around. We've got a Tredarin, we've got, what were these guys called? The Darkstone Hunter dudes. I don't remember, which doesn't help anybody. But yeah, so you can see, I mean, in terms of overall style, I think they're going to fit in great. You know, if you have access to some of the Malifaux stuff, especially like the Latigos or the Guild, I think there's some fun models there you could screw around with. Maybe Neverborn as well. There's some fun models that might work for these types of bandits, especially mutant ones at that. So, fun little set. Looking forward to trying to get them into the game. Looking forward to actually sitting down to actually play the game again, because it's been a good long while. And hopefully we will finish up some of the never-ending piles of plastic for this game someday. With that said, though, this has been High Lord Tamberlane with Obscurities and Miniatures, saying thanks for watching, and we will see you back here soon. Bye-bye!